Damon Martin, MMA fighting here with the UFC welterweight champion of the world, just days away from his next title defense against Jorge Masvidal with a fans in attendance. Welcome back, Kamaru Usman. Champ, how are you?
I am wonderful. Thank you for having me once again, Damon.
Absolutely, absolutely. Of course, we spoke before your last fight, another great title defense, and making a pretty quick turnaround. I know you've wanted to stay more active, but you've had injuries and things like that. Were you happy you were able to book another title defense so quickly after the last one?
Yeah, I mean, it was just a matter of me really after the fight, I didn't feel like I got that fix, after the fight. And plus, I was healthy, relatively healthy, the most healthy I've been in a while. And, just speaking with my coaches, and I'm just like, basically, I'm not getting younger. Why not? And I decided, you know what, let's just go ahead and turn around and do it again.
Yeah, absolutely. It's funny because, for all the ways you've had guys try to trash talk you in the past, and I know I've complimented you on this numerous times with the whole Colby Covington thing. He did everything possible trying to get under your skin, didn't work. You just laughed it all off, kind of just, brushed it off your shoulder, so to speak. But I know the last fight was a bit more emotional because of Gilbert being a former teammate and a friend and things like that. But to go from that to a guy like Jorge Masvidal, again, kind of a rivalry fight, like, do you enjoy the build up for this one more than, let's say, Gilbert? Because I know Gilbert was a guy you had a lot of respect for, and I know you consider him a friend.
Yeah. I don't know. I to be honest with you, I don't know because there's just different elements to them, to those fights. The Gilbert one was personal for me as well, and when you're an artist like we are, it's hard not to take these personally. Um, I know a lot of people say it's just business, but yeah, it's kind of hard to because you can't play fight, you can't play this, So it's kind of hard to take it personally. It's kind of hard not to take it a little personal, but at the end of the day, I'm just doing my job. And whether it's a buildup or not, I know he's been trying to say whatever he wants to say in order to kind of try to build and sell the fight. I don't need to do that. I've let my skills do the talking for me. Um, I set a goal for myself. I never at one point was like, yo, I want to be the guy that talks trash and gets famous because I'm talking trash and this and that. I set a goal for myself to be the best at this. And I am the best at this right now. And these guys don't understand that anything and everything that they say doesn't phase me, doesn't bother me in a way. I'm still going to go out there and I'm still going to take care of business.
Yeah, absolutely. I know you've answered some variation of this question already, but I'd be a bad reporter if I didn't ask you this. Because after you beat Gilbert and you immediately mentioned the possibility of running it back with Masvidal, and you said that a bit of unfinished business because he had a built-in excuse because he only took the fight on 6 days' notice. But in a way, and I know you know this, in a way you're doing him a favor. He wasn't forced to go out and get another win. He wasn't forced to earn his way back to another shot against you. Do you see it from that perspective though, Champ, when you look at it, like you're kind of doing him a favor because in a way, like he didn't have to earn this. You gave it to him versus, making him go out and win a couple more to get back here.
Absolutely. Like I said, I was feeling generous. And like I tweeted out a while back, I was feeling generous and I was going to do some good for him. I mean, I'm giving him the opportunity to make the most money he's ever made, both times. And yeah, but at the end of the day, it's not about him. It's about me. He's a great fighter. I've never taken that away from him. He's a really, really good fighter. But it's just levels. We're levels apart in fighting. And I just like I said, I wasn't satisfied with myself with everything that I had gone through to get into that fight because I took the fight on, you know, oh, I mean, they had to call me and tell me he signed first. He knew before I did. They had to call me while I was at the airport on my way back and say, hey, this guy signed. He said he would fight you. Would you want to come back and fight him? And I didn't have to say yes, but I said yes. And I came back around, flew all the way across the world, and I fought him. And so, yeah, I'm doing him a favor again. But you would think someone would be grateful for that, but I guess that's not. I guess that's not the case. So April 24th, I can't wait to go out there and rumble.
Yeah, you're a guy that I know, and I know we've had these conversations in the past. So when you beat somebody, you like to beat them so dominantly that, I guess the phrase is they never want to step back in there with you again. Um, I mean, the fight with Masvidal the first time around, it was a lopsided decision in your favor, even on short notice. And I know, the commentary has been, Jorge didn't have a full camp, although, I know he was training. I know, you've seen the stories. He was training. I don't know how much I don't know how intense the camp was, but he was definitely training. Um, but in terms of like improvement, in terms of, doing a better performance this time around, is that kind of the goal in this one? Like if you fight and beat Jorge Masvidal this time, you'll never have to see him again. Is that kind of the mentality here?
I don't mind if I see him again. At the end of the day, like I said, this is we're like, it's like we're running a race. We're on the track, and I'm so far ahead of everyone that I'm starting to lap them now. I'm coming around and I'm lapping these guys, and he happens to be the first guy that I'm lapping. And so I don't necessarily care or mind about seeing him again. But at the end of the day, it's just I personally wasn't satisfied with the way that I dominated him. I don't feel like I fully broke him the way that I wanted to. That satisfied me, and so that's why I called for it again. Because when I'm going through my career and I'm older and I'm sitting down and I'm like, yep, broke him. Yep, broke him too. Yep, he knocked his ass out. I want to definitively sit back and say, yep, I took care of that one. That was light work for me. And so that's why I aim to do this again is I aim to improve on my performance, because as you can see, and I'm still getting better. I'm still getting better. I'm still learning, and I'm still growing as a fighter. So, of course, April 24th, I'll be looking to improve on the dominant win that I've already gotten over him.
It's kind of scary when you think about you already getting better considering where you're at right now. With that being said, I know at the end of the day, you've said this all along. When we talked about Jorge, 2 years ago, or whatever it was, you said, I have a lot of respect for him as a fighter. I respect the skills he brings in there. But at the end of the day, considering what you did the last time, and we know what your skill set, what you bring into this fight, I know you respect the dangers he brings in there, but in terms of outcome, like, do you expect it to go any differently? Really? I mean, he has a full camp now, so obviously he doesn't have that, as you said, built-in excuse, quote unquote, as far as saying, "Oh, I took the fight on 6 days." But ultimately, outside of you doing a few things different, the result you imagine are still going to be pretty much the same, right?
I think he's going to come out and try other things and do something different. But I always account for variable change. So I know he's going to try. He's going to be he's going to be a little bit more in shape for this one. Not that he wasn't in shape last time. It's just that's what it's going to look like to me. It doesn't matter who it is. No one. I don't believe anybody can run side by side with me in a race right now when it comes to fighting. And it's going to look like that every time. But I think he's going to be in a little bit better shape, and he's going to try to. I think he's going to use his mind a little different and where to conserve energy and how to explode in certain situations. But I'm not necessarily worried about him. Like I said, I account for variable change, but I'm worried about myself and my performance. I didn't get my fix the first time, so I'm aiming to go out there and do it this time in any way, shape, form, or fashion. Of course, I'm looking always for the finish. If it comes, but I want to just win definitively in a way that I walk away and I say, you know what, I'm satisfied.
You've in a weird way, you've almost written the best possible ending to some of your fights. When you beat Tyron Woodley, Tyron was coming in saying he was, he's on his way to being the best welterweight in the world. And he had, I think at that point, he had really never been taken down. I think at that point, you took him down, you dominated him for 5 rounds, and it was a very lopsided fight. And I know we've had this conversation before about sometimes it's actually better to beat a guy for 5 rounds versus, a quick knockout. Colby Covington was the loudest guy in the room ever. You not only knocked him out, you broke his jaw. So you couldn't have written a better ending there. And Gilbert Burns, everyone said, well, he was your teammate. He knows you so well. You guys had wars in the gym. You beat him. And not only did you beat him, you finished him, inside 2 rounds. what is the perfect ending for Jorge Masvidal? If you're writing this story, because you seem to do it every single time, what is the perfect ending for this fight?
It's that's a good question. I think it's just dominance to the part where you see an opponent just kind of wilt and just find a way out of the fight. Just basically, I can't handle this. Just find a way to take me out. And that's what I'm looking for each and every time. And that's what gets me my fix. That's my thing, is getting an opponent to a point where they're just like, I don't want to be here with you anymore. Please take me out. And finding that with him, I think it's gonna be key. And I think I've gotten good enough time now to be able to just kind of look up on that and gather my thoughts and work with my coach and as far as developing a way to approach that. And so, April 24th, I'm going to be, I'm always excited and I'm always like a kid when I hear those words. And still, so April 24th, I'm aiming to go out there and hear those words again.
Absolutely. With that being said, when we talked before Gilbert Burns, I looked at the division, and this is before you mentioned you wanted to fight Masvidal again, but I said, when you think about it, champ, you've kind of already gone through, all the top contenders, and as you said, you're lapping back around now and facing a lot of the same guys. And you told me, you said, I'll fight them all again. I have no problem with that, because when you look at the top 5 in the division, you've beaten everybody at least once. The only guy you haven't fought is Wonder Boy, and Wonder Boy, and I have tremendous respect for Wonder Boy. If he beats Gilbert Burns, maybe he gets his shot, but he's not been right at the top of the division yet in terms of title shots, and he's been there before. But you've beaten everybody else. So what is the motivation now when you look at like a potential rematch against like a Colby Covington, or maybe if Gilbert works his way back? Like, do you still find that motivation knowing that you probably have a lot of rematches in your future?
Yeah, that's a really, really good question. Because I'm asking myself that as well, and being a realist, and I'm honest with myself, and I know that I can't do this forever, and I don't want to do this forever. So, like I said, we're on a track right now, and I'm just so far ahead of these guys that I'm coming back around and I'm lapping them now. So, it's talking to some of my mentors and some of the greats that have done this. What they're telling me is that it's gonna, at some point, it's gonna start to that waking up in the morning and heading to the gym to put in a day's work. It's gonna start to get heavier and heavier, when nothing really motivates me like that anymore. So this one, like I said, I'm motivated because I didn't feel like I got that fix. I still got that fear in me, and so I want to go out there and get this one. But after this one, we have to really take a hard look and see what there is out there for me, because it's not these guys. So whether it's crossing over and doing something else, or maybe walking away, you never know.
Is that actually, I mean, it'd be hard to think about like walking away, but I mean, like you mentioned, like with Masvidal, this is more of a personal choice for you. It's not about him as much as you weren't satisfied with your work that night, even though it was a very dominant win. And I know a lot of people have brought up Colby Covington, and I know you said in another interview, you said, he needs to go out and do something, because honestly, I can't imagine you could write a better ending for a fight than breaking a guy's jaw in the 5th round and finishing him the way you did. It'd be hard for you to top that outside of maybe breaking his jaw in the 1st round. But in all seriousness, he's had the one fight since then against Woodley. And again, I love Tyron. He's an incredible champion. I don't know that he's fighting the same Tyron Woodley now that you fought, a couple years ago. But you said he's got to go out and do something. You look at your friend Francis Ngannou. He had to win 4 fights, 2 former champions, to finally get back to Stipe. He had to do a lot to get back to Stipe. Now, he made the most of that opportunity, but he had to earn it. He didn't just get handed anything. So Francis went out there and earned his title shot. Is that kind of your feeling with these rematches? These guys got to earn it. If they're really going to get back to you, they got to earn it.
Absolutely. It's just like you mentioned earlier. I said what I was going to do today. I was calling it out. I told Tyron Woodley, there's video out there. I said I would dominate him from start to finish, and I did that. I told Covington I would punish him for 4.5 rounds, and I would get him out of there. Crazy. There's an interview on it that I did on it, and I did that. Same with Masvidal. You know, I was gonna dominate him, and I did that, and Burns as well. So yeah, these guys, you know, these guys have to they have to show me something to let me know, that to put that fear in me that, oh man, I got to get up, I got to wake up and get up and prepare for these guys, because you know right now there's just not much that they can offer me. There's just not much, because I'm just so far ahead of them right now, that and I'm lapping these guys. And another thing that's frustrating is these guys are not wanting to fight each other. How is the champion the most active guy in the division? That's it's ridiculous to me. You know, Covington's offered to Masvidal, he turns him down. Edwards is offered to Covington, he turns him down. Chimaev is offered to Thompson, and he turns him down. And so, like, these guys don't want to fight each other, but they're sitting around just waiting for the champion to pull their number and say, "All right, come on, you can make some money. You can make some money." You know, that's what I mean. Like, these guys need to actually get out there and put on a performance to where I'm like, wow, that motivates me. I gotta fight that guy.
Yeah. Now, on the flip side of that, though, you know, obviously you are raised in a family. You are a businessman. To quote Jay-Z, you're not a businessman, you're a businessman. There is money involved in this. And I know your manager, the great Ali Abdelaziz, who I love, had mentioned in an interview, he said, listen, if Nate Diaz would go out and beat Leon Edwards, and that's a tall order, make no mistake about it, but if he does, you know, maybe Nate. And I know you saw the comment recently, you said something about green panty night, which I laughed at, and I'm sure you saw Connor said something about, you know, this guy's always stealing or something. I don't know, whatever it was. Although I would say, in terms of people I would compare you to, Connor's probably on the complete opposite end of the spectrum as far as personality. You're, I mean that as a compliment. But is there a possibility, like, would you get up for a money fight? Like, would that get you excited to know you could make, you know, several $1 million to fight a Nate Diaz or to fight a Conor McGregor? Is that something that would actually, you know, would that motivate you?
It depends, honestly, because the thought of fighting those guys like that is just so far out of my spectrum, out of my mind, because it's not even. I mean, it's just not feasible. That's not something they would even be interested in. You know, at the end of the day, I think I like to think they have a little bit of sanity and that they're honest with themselves as well. So I don't think that's something that, even if I did offer them that, I've offered Connor the fight before Masvidal. I sat here and I said, Connor, you talked all this, you're tweeting this, you're typing this, you know, and you won't mention my name, but you're typing all this stuff about me. If you want the title shot, you got it. Let's go. Let's do it. And got no response, nothing. And I feel like it would be the same with Diaz. If he's able to go out there and beat Leon Edwards, which is no easy task at all. You know, Leon, I believe, is a savage right now. I don't see it. I just don't see a world where he's like, yeah, I want to fight the champ for the title. Not me. No, absolutely not. So, you know, I just kind of put that out of my mind. I don't even think about those or worry about situations like that. Right now, I'm worried about April 24th. I'm excited for this one. You know, just like I was excited for the Covington fight. I'm excited for this one.
When I talked to you before the Burns fight, I brought up the whole greatest of all time debate, and you had such a tremendous quote talking about that. You said, that's not my place. I'm not the one who's going to call myself the GOAT, things like that. But you saw the new rankings came out. You're number 2 pound for pound in the sport now. You and John Jones, number 1, number 2. And I'm sure you have a lot of respect for John Jones as well. I know you're not going to sit here and say I'm number 1 pound for pound. After the fight, I'm sure you heard George St. Pierre pay you compliments. You've heard a lot of people do that. I mean, you're not going to be the one to say it, but do you appreciate that do you believe you're finally starting to get the recognition you deserve? Because you've never been the loudest guy in the room. You've never sat there and touted yourself and said, oh, I'm this, I'm that, call me this, call me that. You just went out there and earned it. But does it mean something that it seems like you're finally starting to get the recognition you deserve?
It does mean a lot, because that's life, you know. Like, you're an excellent journalist and you want to be recognized for that, you know. Just like if I was a pizza maker, I would want to be recognized as an excellent pizza maker, just like my fighting. And so, yeah, I am flattered by all of that. But, you know, once as far as the greatest of all time talk, like, that's not my place. You know, I do enjoy being in the conversation. I enjoy that people are putting me in that conversation, but that's not my place. You know, I don't worry about that. I take it a fight at a time. And by the time I am said and done with the sport, people will be like, yeah, absolutely. That's the best that we've ever seen in this sport. But as far as with the whole pound for pound situation, as far as right now actively fighting, I believe I am the pound for pound best fighter in the world right now. If you're talking about body of work, absolutely, it's crazy looking at the body of work that John Jones has put in. It's ridiculous. Now, he is for sure the pound for pound. But as far as right now actively fighting, I believe with the absence of Khabib, I believe I am the pound for pound fighter, number one pound for pound fighter in the world.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't disagree. I mean, like I said, John's been now, it's going to be almost 2 years, coming up. I mean, that's, like I said, that's, by the time he fights again, it'll be about 2 years, give or take. You're right. I mean, like I said, when you look at the guys you beat, and I say this all the time, I think the welterweight division is the best division in the sport. No offense whatsoever to lightweight or any other division. And as I said, I looked at the top 10 right before we got on the call together, and I was like, you've already beaten like half the guys like in the top 10. It's kind of crazy. So yeah, I mean, I don't think that's a crazy statement at all.
Yeah, I mean, like that's the thing is, I don't want to be the loudest guy in the room. I want to let my body of work speak for itself, and it's starting to do that. So, I mean, people are taking, they're taking their sweet time to come around and look at the facts and say, oh yeah, he might be the best, but at the end of the day, it's better late than never. So, I'm just thankful and I'm blessed to be in this place and time.
Yeah. Last thing, let me get you out of here on this. I know how special, as we've talked about this in the past, how special it is, the connection you have with the other African fighters in the UFC. Obviously, again, maybe a challenge would be going to middleweight, but I know you're never going to fight Israel Adesanya, so we just take that off the table. I know how much it meant to you to be in the corner for Francis Ngannou, and Francis has talked so much about how special that was to have you there and how much it meant to him to have you in his corner for his title fight win, which was amazing. You talk about motivation. You talk about what's out there. Would UFC Africa, would that be the thing? Whether it's Covington, Burns, Wonderboy, Chiesa, whoever it is, would that be one thing that would keep Kamaru Usman around for another fight? Because I imagine that would be like the dream scenario. You, Francis, and Israel in the same card in Africa. Come on now.
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely am sticking around for that one. I think it's very rare to do something of certain magnitudes to where you can let live on for forever, have just echo on forever. And I'm just like, I'm blessed to be in a certain place and time right now to where, everyone's like, oh yeah, there's 3 African champions and you are one of the 3. That's incredible. And then having the first ever event in Africa that I was a part of that. I mean, it's something that's monumental that I think has to go in that chapter of my life as one of the big headers in there.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, it gives me chills thinking about you and Francis and Israel in the same card. Man, that would be so insane, right?
Oh my God. UFC, let's make it happen.
Champ, it is always a pleasure to catch up with you. I appreciate the time. Obviously, safe travels out. Fans, man, you got fans back for this one. You got to be excited for that one, right?
Fans. Yeah, absolutely. It's I'm excited for my family to be able to be present again. It's been a while. And this time they're going to actually be there front and center as opposed to home watching from the television. So I'm excited for that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Champ, as I said, it's always a pleasure to catch up with you. Safe travels out to Jacksonville. Best of luck in the fight. And I'm sure we will talk afterwards.
All right. Thanks, Damien. I appreciate you.
Talk to you soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye.